Thank you so much, sir. As you beautifully pointed out that problems are opportunities to look for solutions, and we really need to think beyond, look beyond those privileged first 2 billion people and identify the problems of an average Indian and come up with more life-changing innovations that may find place in your interesting list. I now request our next speaker, Dr. S. Guruprasad, to please come forward and share his experiences.
Dr. Omkar Roy and Dr. Jaswinder Ahuja, who have just now delivered the two very eloquent talks. I absolutely share their thoughts, their ideas, and that is what we need to do, and that is the way. I was really enjoying Mr. Jaswinder's talk when he was abruptly, probably he was stopped. A very really exciting points he made. First of all, let me thank the organizers for giving me opportunity to share some of my thoughts and some points which I will be making. And also, since I represent an organization, DRDO, I want to speak a few words about DRDO also. First things first, let us clearly come to an understanding what exactly is technology. Because everybody talks about technology is important, technology is the thing which is required, we have to develop technology. Yes, absolutely, but do we understand technology in the same sense and meaning as a common, very important terminology? What do we understand by technology? Let me put a perspective, my own perspective, or in general perspective. Let us take one step backwards, science, and then one step forward, a product. In between is what is technology. Technology doesn't mean it is a product, it also doesn't mean it is a science. When you talk about science, it is very, very clear that we are talking about a very, very definitive. There is no two things in science. There is only one thing, either true or false. Whereas scientific principle, there are very few scientific principles, as you all, many science students will appreciate it and know it, that we know today. And whatever things operate will be operating within these scientific principles. When you apply the scientific principles and effects, we get something known as technology. Basically, we are talking about devices, sensors, actuators. The science to technology, it happens in academic institutes and research labs like DRDO, but more so in academic institutes where the scientific effects, how to utilize a particular scientific effect and make a device that can give an output in the face of an input. So that kind of research will be happening there. But does it become a product there? Definitely it doesn't become a product. But that is when a technology is formed. When you are able to combine one or two scientific principles and effects and then make it into a device that can talk to you, that can interface with maybe another electronic instruments or whatever device it is, then convey something. That is what is. For a very simple example, you take the Hall effect in electronics, then that is converted. So then you can do so many things. You can detect a magnetic field, you can detect a flow of current, you can detect motion, so many things you can do. But then that conversion is done by technologists who do experiment. It is an experimental research domain where it is converted into a device. But then that device itself will not be useful. Then you apply it in a product, like your the mobile phone, the cell phone, there are so many sensors sitting inside this thing. These are all nothing but these technologies put into a product. What a user experiences, maybe it's a common consumer or armed forces unit will experience is only the product. They don't experience what science works behind it, what technology or what sensors you are using it. He will only interact with the output of that. Your screen is dead, all the sensors are useless. You have no interaction with that. If your mic and your the speaker in the cell phone is dead, then again all the other things are useless. So what the user experiences is the product. Why I am emphasizing and why I am differentiating these is to make it very, very clear is, even though scientific research, very, very fundamental basic research, they are important. Technological research to convert scientific principles and effects into technical devices is important. But much more important is to build very, very effective and useful products. So what is that special knowledge you need when you want to build a product or a system? In terms of defense, it is a system because usually it is a very, very highly multidisciplinary. So it becomes a system. What is that it converts? Is it your scientific knowledge alone? Is it your experimental skills and your creativity in converting scientific effects into technology, that is in terms of giving some output? No, there is something much more beyond that. That is what is I am trying to convey, is it is creativity. Unless the creative skills are combined with all the understanding of your knowledge plus your analytical skills, a very good product cannot be created. Now when we talk about products, the world is ruthless, the consumer is ruthless, including especially for DRDO, our customers are armed forces. Armed forces is not like a civil market, like there will be some segment who will still buy, even if it is a second grade product. It is not like that. They need and they accept only the best, only the state of art. So what is that skill which is required to make it happen is nothing but the creative skills. So now what the point is, you have to clearly understand what can a student can pursue. You may have your skills, or you may be very strong in knowledge where you can work in science. You may have your skills, better experimental skills, better creative skills in creating technologies. But then you cannot ignore your creative skills in configuring something. I'm talking in general terms. I'm basically a trained engineer, but contextually you can apply it to any field or any domain. It is simply two parts, your analytical skills and your creative skills. Without combining these two, you cannot really produce much. Now, many people, I think it is a very loosely used term, like software is technology. So this is where many people don't agree, especially pure scientists or engineers, because we know what is happening. Most of the research and most of the breakthroughs that happen is in material science. Whether it is nanomaterials or nano inclusions that we put in our systems and try to enhance, or whether it is new polymers which are being designed and this thing configured. Most of the things happen in materials. The basic core research, that is where the investment goes. That is where even if you want a very good radar to be built, it is built on a very, very efficient material that can transmit the RF energy with minimum heat, so that you have a compact radar and a very powerful radar with minimum of energy. So any field, any domain you take, you try to build any product, finally it comes to what materials you are going to employ there. Like aircraft structures, now today we are using carbon, mostly carbon epoxy type of carbon or some other polymers to build the aircraft structures. That is the state of art, because you can include your nano things and also materials for giving the stealth characteristics. That kind of thing are happening. So if you want to stay ahead, if the country wants to stay ahead, then all the three are important. But unfortunately it appears that due to whatever past our historical reasons, our creative capabilities have been a little bit gone into slumber. We are excellent in understanding and learning. You may have very good IQ, your IQ level may be superb. You will be able to learn anything, but that is not enough. Are you able to use that knowledge and apply that knowledge and then combine with your creativity and then devise something very, very new? Many people ask this question, what is coming out of India? What is coming out of India is services. What is coming out of India is materials, which we supply, like steel. We are one of the largest exporters of steel. And one of the largest exporters of, I think, even the food products. But that doesn't, the simple, your shiploads of grapes from probably from Nashik or other areas will be offset by one single technology item. The Americans have to sell only one Boeing aircraft, that's all. The French, they sell only few aircrafts, and you should know what is the price at which they are selling. And what we sell, clothes, grapes, and agricultural some products, and I don't think we will ever will be able to fill the gap by trying to do the same thing over and over again. So this is where we have to wake up. Now coming to, so then what do we need? We have already in our country, fortunately, we had great leaders. I'm not talking about political leaders, I'm talking about SNT leaders, science and technology leaders. There was, to give a few examples, Dr. Homi Bhabha, then Dr. Vikram Sarabhai, and then our own DRDO, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. What did they do? What is their contribution? I'm not trying to undermine the great contributions made by other leaders, including great political leaders. I am only trying to emphasize these SNT leaders really have created this country. We stand on their efforts and the organizations they built. For example, today DRDO has provided with total indigenous technology the complete strategic protection to the country, where there is no other country supports you. No other country gives you this kind of strategic protection. I'm not talking about fighter aircrafts. I'm not talking about the vessels which are built in either Russian ports or American dockyards. I'm not even the small missiles which we are buying. I am talking about the Agni, Prithvi type of this thing, our own nuclear submarine, which actually gives the strategic protection to the country. It is something which is, it is very easy to, we don't use it. We hope we will never use it, but it doesn't matter. Unless you have a strength to fight, you will be subdued. That is, the world is ruthless, it is like that. You have, our Dr. Kalam made a great statement, the power respects power. Unless you have your strength, the strength, sorry, his quote was, strength respects strength. Unless you have strength, you will not be respected. That is the reality of the world, in the political world. Now, one is military might, That is only one phase of it. But another one is the economic strength of the country. That is also very important. Now, to put together in perspective, where do we stand and where do we go? So, Dr. Kalam also made a very significant statement about being a knowledge society. Oh, what happened in between? You look at our temples. You go to any ancient temple. I am not talking about recent temples. You go to any ancient temple and just do an observation. So, being a science student, for me, I appreciate both nature and any construction much more in a deeper sense. Because when I smell a flower, I smell it not just the flavor of the flower. I know what chemical compositions are coming from that and how difficult it is for the nature to give out those this thing. Now, how exactly this Raat Ki Rani, exactly at 8 p.m. or around that particular time, it gives out its fragrance. Have you observed this? Why that timing? And how does it calculate that timing? And what is the mechanism? It doesn't have a brain. You go and check the plant and the flower, there is no brain. The mango tree, exactly once in 2 years, it gives its fruits. It doesn't yield every year. There may be some varieties that give every year. Where is that clock? Who is calculating that time? It is a great wonder. And use your wonder. And then that is why he called about the knowledge. The knowledge, to build a knowledge society. Look at our old ancient temples. Why I am referring to ancient temples is, ancient temples were built much before all the so-called understanding of science and mathematics came from the Western world. But did it really come from the Western world? It's a different topic altogether. Let us not debate it. But when you see the constructions, it is impossible to construct that without knowledge of, very in-depth knowledge of trigonometry. And very much in-depth knowledge of sense of direction, which we even today, it is a great thing to find a true north. If you want to identify true north, you have to sight the North Star in this part of the world. Otherwise, true north is not known, and no sensor will give you that. It may give with lot of errors. How in those times the true north was this thing, and then the calculation at which exactly month, date, and time the ray of sun can pass through a hole and fall on the deity. You can go and see in many of the places these wonders. So there was a great deal of mathematical understanding. So this is the country which had the understanding of this intricate science and had the creativity to create new things that did not exist. One example, I am just quoting from the temple of Belur, where there are pillars. Each one must be weighing not less than 20 tons. But the process, since I am an engineer, I know what process they have used to manufacture it. They have used turning. Can you imagine now, pick up a 20-ton shaft and turn and show me? Even today it is a difficult task. Go to this temple in, I think it is Tiruchirappalli, where that, Brihadeshwar temple, where 80-ton rock is put on top of the temple, this tower of the temple. How 80-ton crane, even today it doesn't exist. So this is the land that did all those things centuries ago. But then what happened to us? So this is the question, especially the students have to address themselves. You are one of the most creative race in the world. It is not a white-skinned or dark-skinned person who is the most creative and capable of inventing the products. But somehow we are still in a slumber and we have to wake up. And the potential does exist. You see the kind of frugal inventions that this country makes and turns out, but that is not yet converted into global business. Many things are there because our thinking is frugal. No, but the frugal thinking is not a setback or not a disadvantage. It is possible to create great things by frugal thinking. So again, coming back to uh, the uh, the aspect of the creative ability, that is ability to design something. Okay, you see, in 1969, Americans put a man on moon, and then they returned also. What took them? Is it a great technology? What computer they used for the whole mission is not even 10% powerful to your smartphone. Its processing power was so low. It was, I think, the RAM was 4 KB or 16 KB, like that only was used. The Pioneer spacecraft, which just now went beyond the solar system, was programmed in assembly language. In fact, when they wanted the Pioneer to turn back and take photograph of the solar system, they had to go back. Those people who had done the programming in assembly language, today nobody knows. No, probably it is only for theoretically thought. Nobody practices probably. They went back to the same people who are in their 80s or 90s, and they came and did the job. And many of these actuators were not used for 40 years. So there is technology, or your scientific knowledge is not at all a limitation for your creativity. You can still create. You can, with the existing technology itself, we can do great things in this country if people come upon with great ideas like my previous speakers were telling about. So that is what is needed. I leave it at this point. I once again thank the organizers for giving me opportunity to share a few thoughts of mine, and have a great day. Thank you.